we move on to the next fight. This one's Tim the Dirty Bird Means versus Laureano Staropoli at 170 pounds. Tim Means, he's the American. He's 29, 12, and 1. He's 36 years old. He's 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he made his UFC debut back in 2012 versus Bernardo Magalhães. He was cut from the UFC after going 2-2, and then he went on to Legacy and he picked up 2 wins. And he re-signed with the UFC in 2014, and he's been with the UFC ever since then. So he's a guy that's been around for a long, long time in the UFC. He's 11, 9, and 1 overall in the UFC, coming off of a submission loss to Daniel Sanchez. And then he fights Laureano Staropoli from Argentina. He's 9 and 2, 27 years old, 6 feet 1 inches tall, 2-1 in the UFC, coming off of a decision loss to Muslim Salikov, who's a monster. But both of his wins in the UFC come by decision over Hector Aldana and Thiago Alves.
Yeah.
What do you think about these guys?
So Tim's obviously, you touched on that. He's a long-time UFC vet. One of the things that Tim doesn't do well is win. I mean, he is, if we look at just his last 9 fights, he's 3-5 in his last 9 with 1 no contest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take that into consideration. If you watch him, Tim is a wrestler. And did you know that the only reason he got into MMA was after doing a prison sentence for meth?
Yep. So it actually starts back prior to that. So he got hooked onto meth because of an incident where he was involved in an incident outside of a bar in which he got shot in the leg. So then he was shot in the leg, and the doctors had prescribed him morphine and other prescription pills. And as soon as that prescription was pretty much taken away from him, he was having addiction issues, and that led to him moving over to methamphetamine. And then he was eventually sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Served 3.5, I think is what they said.
Served 3.5 years in prison. He got released, and then he was working... where was he working? He was working at, I want to say, like a garbage company.
It was a I think it's janitorial or garbage man, something like. I think it was janitor. He was a janitor or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. And one of the people he was working with, kind of suggested that he goes and trains.
Yeah.
And that whole thing turned into a life-changing experience for him that turned into a long career in the UFC.
Yeah. And he already had a wrestling base.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was already he was wrestling in high school and stuff before that. So
yeah,
but his stand up is really wild, and he's never improved it ever.
And it's so funny though because he's actually got a winning professional boxing record.
Yeah, I think he's 2-1.
2-1 as a professional boxer. Yeah,
but
so it's funny that you say that.
You have to look at competition now too.
Well, yeah, I mean, but even then, look at what he's done in MMA. Like his striking is wild, but he still has 19 knockouts.
He does.
He has 19 knockouts, 5 submissions, and 5 decisions.
For me,
he's looking to kill.
When I think of Tim Means, I think of the old school MMA guys that they have the wrestling base and then they just throw hands and don't care.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he does. He throws hands, doesn't care. He'll trade shots for shot with you, and that's been part of his downfall throughout his career. Is he's willing to take a punch to give a punch. He just can't actually take a punch very well.
No, he can't actually take a punch. But that's part of the reason he's 11-9 inside of the UFC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that if they would just change up their style a little bit, their records would be significantly better. But some people just embrace that war.
Yeah.
But before getting to the UFC though, he was a catchweight champion for King of the Cage, 160 pounds. For King of the Cage, and he defended that belt 4 times at a catchweight. So it's kind of weird.
What is with these catchweight champions and these regional promotions?
Well, they called it like super lightweight or something like that, but it's not even. It's not a real weight class. When you put title fights on your cards, it makes it look better, right? So if I'm trying to sell my regional or my smaller show, what do? I put a title fight on there. Try to sell out more tickets, right? So that's what happens there. But he was their 160-pound champion, defended it 4 times. He also won their 155-pound belt at one point as well. So he's got all those things going on there. But Laureano Staropoli is young and new to the UFC. Not brand new, like we said, 2-1. Both the wins coming by decision. Actually, before signing to the UFC, though, Staropoli was also a police officer.
Yep.
So it was a part-time, training and fighting was a part-time thing. signed to the UFC, it kind of became a
full-time
job.
gig.
Yeah,
You
so,
can't part-time in the UFC.
No,
It's hard.
people try. You see what happens.
Yeah.
It affects their ability to be the best that they can be. But he has 5 knockouts, and he has 2 submissions, and he has 2 decisions. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, with Staropoli, his striking is very, very good.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
He has really, really nice feints to bait you in, to get you to throw when he wants you to throw. I think Joe Rogan mentioned it actually in one of his fights. I forgot which fight it was, but he actually commented on it and said, he's got these feints. He's trying to get you to throw when he wants you to throw.
Mm-hmm.
And it works because these dudes are throwing when he wants them to throw. And he's content with just sitting there picking you apart and feinting all the time.
Yep. I was really excited with the striking.
Yeah.
I like the way that it looks.
He switches his stances a lot too. So if he's having problems one way, he doesn't care. He'll switch to the other way and see if he has success that way.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that he has very good takedown defense too. And I don't know that Tim's takedowns and his wrestling is enough or good enough, I guess, to actually get Staropoli down and keep him down. Because Staropoli shows that he's able to defend the takedown, and if he does get taken down, he's also able to get back up. Yeah. And those kind of fighters are dangerous. If you can't hold them down, those guys are dangerous.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ultimately, I think that Staropoli's got too good a striking.
Yep.
I do give Tim Means the respect, but like you talked about earlier, he's kind of chinny.
He's very chinny.
He's not very good at taking a punch. And because of that, I think that Staropoli knocks him out in round 2, potentially even round 1, but I'm going with round 2.
Yeah, so for me, I've got Staropoli knockout round 1. I think that Tim
we got to fight
We finally picked the same guy here, but I just don't like Tim Means' chin. And I think he's very hittable. He's willing to brawl, and that is going to be his downfall, is that he's willing to stand and trade with Staropoli, who will put him away if he does that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
round 1 knockout's my opinion.
All right, so round 1 knockout for you. I got round 2, but we both got some